Good morning everyone and welcome to this assembly on Black History Month. So in order for us to understand why we celebrate it, I thought it would be necessary for us to have a look at some of the language surrounding Black History Month first, and how we can link this to events that have occurred so far this year. Today we will start by looking at prejudice, discrimination and racism. We'll then go on to Black History Month and Black Lives Matter. And then finally, I'm going to ask you to complete some research on Black History Month to hand to your coaching lead by Friday morning. So let's begin with prejudice. So a prejudice is an opinion that is not based on experience or reason. It's this idea of judging a book by its cover. For example, a stereotype, which is similar to a prejudice, we might have about boys is that they're tough. One about girls is that they're caring. And one about teenagers is that they're all addicted to social media, or teenagers dress inappropriately these days, which maybe you've heard from people older than you. This now brings me on to discrimination. Discrimination uses a prejudice to actively treat a group of people unfairly. It refers to actions rather than thoughts and feelings. So the example I'm going to use comes from the 1936 Olympics. So the African American athletes on the 1936 US Olympic team brought home 14 medals, 8 gold, 4 silver and 2 bronze. After the Olympics, the athletes returned to a country segregated by race, to a nation where they were treated as second-class citizens. This quote by Jesse Owens sums it up pretty well. After I came home from the 1936 Olympics with my 4 medals, it became increasingly apparent that everyone was going to slap me on the back, want to shake my hand, or have me up to their suite, but no one was going to offer me a job. This is discrimination. So discrimination now leads me on to racism. Racism falls under the umbrella of discrimination. It's a stronger type of prejudice used to justify the belief that one racial group is superior or inferior than others. It can also be a set of practices used by a racial majority to disadvantage a racial minority. So my example comes from the Ku Klux Klan, who are a racist organisation. Its members' belief in white supremacy has encouraged over a century of hate crime and hate speech. This must stop because it's unfair and unjust. It is not based on reason, so how can some people continue to believe that one race is dominant over another? So now we're going to have a look at Black History Month. So Black History Month in the UK is celebrated in October. It celebrates the huge achievements of Black Britons and the Black community throughout history. I'm now going to show you a video from a speech that Boris Johnson did at the beginning of the month regarding Black History Month.
Let's also reflect on where we are today. Whilst we have come a long way, and Britain is one of the most diverse and inclusive societies in the world, the events over the last few months have shown that there is still much more work to be done. All too often, we forget that Black history and British history are one and the same. And if we forget that, then we're left with a partial understanding not only of our past, but also of our present. It makes it harder for young Black people to root themselves and their experiences in our national life, and it makes it harder for all of us to understand where our country came from, the challenges it faces today, and what we can do to overcome them. And that's among the reasons why I've established the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities to examine where inequality exists across our society and to set out a positive agenda for change. Black history is our history. So let's learn from it and build a better future for us all.
Okay, well, Thank you, Boris, for that. I think he did a really good job of summarising that for us. And one really important thing he pulled out there was sometimes we forget that Black history is also British history. Because of this, we only partially understand our past and therefore our present as well. So I believe that to change the present, we need to fully understand our past. But how can we do this if we do not celebrate or educate ourselves on our whole history? So for me, that is why I celebrate Black History Month. So this now leads me on to events that have happened so far this year. For example, Black Lives Matter. So this movement has become an everyday term for us now, but do we truly understand what it means? It's important for us to understand its meaning before we use it. So the movement started in 2013 by Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors and Opal Tometi. These three ladies founded Black Lives Matter in response to the murder of Trayvon Martin. So the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer means that his murderer was not found guilty for murdering him. Okay, so this means that the whole point of Black Lives Matter, it works to increase awareness of racially motivated violence against Black people. Trayvon Martin was murdered without reason, but his murderer was found not guilty for that murder. So this is why Black Lives Matter started in the first place. But if it was founded in 2013 with regards to this murder case, why has it only become such a household name now? Well, this brings me on to George Floyd. So, George Floyd became a household name when a police officer knelt on his neck for 8 minutes 46 seconds, suffocating him to death. What was the crime he died for? Supposedly using a fake $20 bill in a shop. So for supposedly using fake money in a shop, George Floyd was suffocated to death for 8 minutes 46 seconds. There is no doubt that this was an unfair and unjust murder. He died without reason. The Black Lives Matter campaign campaigns against such police brutality. Okay, and that's why this year BLM has become such a household name, because of this awful death. Hopefully this video now will allow you to empathise a little bit more.
My God, it's another sad day in America. Painful to be introduced to George Floyd during his last breath with a cop's knee on his neck. He deserves so much more.
How many Black lives have to be taken before something is done?
We are not a threat.
I am shaking as I type. This has got to stop.
We are sick of it.
Conviction. I just want us all to live. Death will not stop until the powers that be have finally held accountable.
Don't look away from the truth until every one of us are free from white supremacy.
The world stands with cops.
Aucune pitié, aucune compassion dans son regard et dans son
Criminalizing and killing of Black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead Black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan?
Michelle Armstrong, Deborah Dana,
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd, say his name.
Say their names. Once again, and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Rest in power, beautiful. You didn't deserve this.
Okay, so clearly the whole focus of Black Lives Matter is fighting for justice, fighting for equality. But since asking you guys about your opinions on Black Lives Matter, quite a few questions have come up about it. One of the most common questions which has come up is why not all lives matter? So we're just going to do a bit about that. So it's a really good question, but I do have an answer for it. And I'm going to use Billie Eilish's 2 analogies in order to explain this to you. So the first one goes like this. If your friend gets a cut on their arm, are you going to wait to give all your friends a band-aid first because all arms matter? No, you're not. That wouldn't be necessary for you to do that. You'd give the plaster to the friend who is bleeding. If someone's house was on fire and someone is stuck in the house, are you going to make the fire department go to every other house on the block first because all houses matter? Well, no, you're not. It is not necessary to do so, and the same applies for all lives matter. It's not necessary to protect those who do not need to be protected as much as others. If racism didn't exist, if everyone really was treated equally in society, then Black Lives Matter wouldn't have to exist either. So finally, I'm going to show you some statistics. So in 2016, there were 722 fatal killings by police in the US. 3/4 of them were black. This statistic is ridiculous. It's ridiculous since black people only make up 13% of the US population, yet they are 5 times more likely to be stopped by the police. Okay. So, in summary, stereotypes are oversimplified ideas about groups of people. Prejudice refers to thoughts and feelings. Discrimination refers to actions. Racism refers to the belief that one race is superior or inferior to other races. Black History Month celebrates black figures and their achievements throughout history. And finally, Black Lives Matter campaigns against racially motivated violence. So, of course, we haven't had time this morning to go through specific achievements by black figures in history. This research is now over to you instead. So before Friday's coaching session, I want you to take some time to research a black figure in history. Maybe this person has inspired you, maybe you will be able to relate to this person in some way. Explain who you have chosen and why. And if you would like to watch this assembly again to get some ideas, then it will be on my YouTube channel, which some of you know about. So you can just type that, you can just find that by typing in Miss Wright into the YouTube thing. So yeah, can't wait to hear about your research, and thanks for listening. Have a good day.